going on? What's going on? Shakur Stevenson. What's next for that boy? We all know Shakur Stevenson, had his bout during the last weekend. He did okay. Me personally, when you were facing somebody of that caliber that he was facing, they're pretty much kind of putting you in there to almost in a situation where, you showcase yourself. It's almost like a showcase type of fight. You're supposed to dominate that person. You're supposed to get him out of there. That bout, if you're looking at someone like Gervonta Tank Davis, that's a 3-4 round fight. It's a 3-4 round fight where Gervonta Tank Davis would get absolutely zero credit for doing anything in that fight. So for him to go 12 rounds with that guy, for him to not be able to figure out certain things, especially him being, he's a big guy at 130 pounds. I just expected more from him, especially when you see like Corbett and what he did, prime time, what he was able to do against a higher level opponent. He was facing, prime time was facing a higher level opponent, and we saw what he was able to do. He was able to make the adjustments. We saw all different layers of his game. It was kind of sketchy with him having his hands down. I don't like that part, but he did his thing, and he finished the show against a much bigger guy than himself. And he's not known necessarily as a big puncher either, but he was able to figure it out and get it done. And I understand people might say that, well, he's defensive. He's being defensive. So what if he's being defensive? We've seen Tank break down guys that are being defensive with their hands up in the air, breaking them down to the body, and putting them into a space where the top opens up and he takes them out. We've seen him do that on multiple occasions. So, when you're, especially with the expectations over Shakur and what people are already trying to call Shakur, there's a certain levels of expectations. And personally, I don't believe those expectations were met. That level opponent should not be going 12 rounds. So if it goes 12 rounds, that boy better take a beating. And that's not what happened. But at the end of the day, he's still young. It is a learning process. He is progressing. And he'll learn from it. Definitely, absolutely, you'll learn from it. And you'll continue to get better. I have no question about that he'll continue to get better as a fighter. He will. Boy works his ass off, trains, and we've seen him continue to progress. So we'll see what his future holds. But as far as his future is concerned, it's like, what's next for the man? What are they gonna do with him? I've heard, I guess ESPN's been talking about him fighting Diaz, as if that being the next fight, and or that being his first fight where he fights for a championship belt. And I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening just due to the fact that it makes no sense. Right now Diaz is I guess he's still with Golden Boy, but he has MTK Global as in an advisory role or as managerial. He signed with them, so they have a lot of say in whatever happens to him. And if you're gonna give up, like with Golden Boy doesn't have a lot left. They have a couple of very few belts, like 3 belts, maybe 3-4 belts, 2-3 belts that they have. That's it. They have the 154-pound belt. They have Diaz at 130, and maybe one other belt, something like that. So because of that, they're not gonna necessarily. I don't see them sacrificing this fighter for Shakur Stevenson. I'm not even sure if Top Rank would put him in with with a Diaz. Diaz is a big guy. It's a situation where, depending on how Diaz comes at and what happens in that fight, Shakur could lose that fight. It doesn't matter if there's only a 40% chance or whatever it is, 45. I say a 40% chance that Diaz might be able to do something. Top Rank's not going to risk that. Not with a fighter that's not signed to Top Rank. I don't see that happening. That's not how they operate. That's not how they move. And as far as Golden Boy, if Golden Boy is going to risk this or give this belt up, I guess you could say, they're not going to take. I don't see them doing that for what a Top Rank or ESPN is going to offer them, which is not going to be much. You can go on this other route and have him take on a Gervonta Tank Davis in a unification pay-per-view Showtime, bigger, high profile fight, more money. And if you win, you get the stardom that you get from it. You know, you're looking at a rematch, which means even more money in a rematch. There's just way more upside. You know what I'm saying? Way more upside. The floor is higher than what the ceiling would be fighting a Shakur Stevenson. So it doesn't make any sense to me personally. And especially with that managerial, the managerial aspect of it with MTK Global, I don't see them. They're going to be like, no, why would we do that when we can make millions over here, fighting this guy over here? Doesn't make any sense. You know, if we're going to risk it, let's risk it over here, making millions of dollars, you know, in a huge fight. Okay, where I'm getting a lot of notoriety. Where even if I lose, as long as I'm, you know, even if I lose, I still have a name where I might still be able to propel myself back up there. So I don't see that happening. And another reason why I don't really think it's going to be the case is because of what Shakur Stevenson has said as far as their plan has been. He said, you know, as far as his next fight's concerned, that he's taking on the winner of Herring and Frampton. And I know somebody say, nah, you know, might not see him like, well, I don't see them, you know, let's say letting him fight a Frampton. I'm going to say no to that just due to the fact that these fighters from Top Rank, they usually know pretty much what's next. And when it came to Teofimo Lopez, I remember when Teofimo Lopez, when they were asking him, like, why did you get out of this tournament? Why are you not fighting in that WBC tournament? And he said, why am I going to fight in that WBC tournament for? It makes no sense. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get this IBF title. Then after I get this IBF title, I'm going to fight for all those other belts. You know, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to work, you know, smarter in a strategic way. I'm going to get that WBC shot regardless. But I'm going to be able to do that and fight for multiple belts in a much bigger fight than if I fight whoever or than Devin right now. And he ended up being right. He ended up getting his IBF title shot, got that belt. Then he got the shot at the WBC belt against Lomachenko. He ended up getting that bout. And a bout where a lot of people question if Top Rank might even do that bout. So Shakur has been saying it for a while now that I'm getting a winner of that fight. I'm getting a winner of that fight. I don't think he would be saying that unless he knew for sure they was going to get the winning of that fight. You know? So, and I mean, yeah, Frampton, he's quote with, you know, signed a Top Rank, but he's really not. It's like more of a cold promotional deal. Kind of like with the Tyson Fury type of situation. You know, he's not really a quote, a Top Rank fighter. And I just believe that Shakur is going to be brought up kind of like the same way Terrence Crawford was brought up. And they're going to put him in position to get belts. The only problem with him is he's going to have a ceiling. So I believe that, you know, his next fight is going to be exactly what he said, which is going to be the winner of Herring versus Frampton, regardless of who wins that fight. And I believe the WBO has already said that the winner of that fight has to face Shakur within 90 days. I could be wrong, but I believe that's already been put out there, that the winner has to fight Shakur Stevenson. So I think that's already set. He's going to fight the winner of that fight, you know, and that's why he's been saying it, for a good period of time now, you know. So I believe that's the next bout that we're going to be seeing. And that's going to be his first opportunity to become champion at 130 pounds, which I believe he's going to be successful. And then after that, we'll see if he gets a unification bout against Burchell. I'm not sure if he will or not, but we'll see. They might string that along, and we might have to wait a little bit before we actually get that. Kind of like I'm not sure if we're actually even going to get this, this undisputed at 140 pounds. I'm not sure if we're going to get that, but we shall see. But regardless, congratulations to Shakur Stevenson, handling his business, coming out with the W, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You can make all adjustments, make all the changes that you need later. The most important thing is, regardless of whatever flaws might have been, regardless of whatever expectations might have not been met, at the end of the day, you get that win, you learn from it, and you continue progressing as a fighter. But for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.